Before PlayStation, before Xbox, before Nintendo, there was a console that started the entire home gaming industry, and almost nobody remembers it. It was called the Magnavox Odyssey. Released in 1972, and its story begins with one man, Ralph H. Baer. In 1966, Baer was working as an engineer when he had a strange idea. At the time, televisions were everywhere, but they only did one thing: show broadcast programs. Baer wondered, what if people could interact with their TVs instead of just watching them? He imagined a machine that would let people play games directly on their television screens. This idea was completely new. Video games existed in a few research labs, but no one had ever tried bringing them into people's homes. So Baer and his small team began experimenting. After months of work, they created a prototype called the brown box. It allowed players to control simple shapes moving around on a TV screen. It was crude, but revolutionary. Magnavox eventually licensed Baer's invention and turned it into a consumer product, the Magnavox Odyssey. And just like that, the first home video game console was born. But compared to modern consoles, the Odyssey was incredibly simple. It had no sound, no processor, and no real graphics. The screen displayed only a few white squares that players could control. To make games more interesting, the console came with plastic screen overlays that players placed directly on their TVs. These overlays turned the white shapes into things like tennis courts, haunted houses, or skiing slopes. One of the Odyssey's most popular games was table tennis, and that simple game would change the entire industry. In 1972, a young entrepreneur named Nolan Bushnell saw a demonstration of the Odyssey. Soon, his company Atari released an arcade game inspired by it called Pong. Pong became a massive hit. Arcades filled with machines, and suddenly video games were everywhere. But many people believed Atari had invented video games. That wasn't true. Magnavox noticed the similarity between Pong and their table tennis game, and they took Atari to court. Magnavox won the lawsuit. Atari ended up paying licensing fees based on Baer's patents, and many other companies would later do the same. Which means something incredible. The modern gaming industry, from arcades to today's consoles, traces its roots back to the Magnavox Odyssey. Yet despite starting the entire revolution, the Odyssey itself faded into the background, overshadowed by the massive success of Atari. But without it, gaming as we know it might never have existed. The Magnavox Odyssey wasn't just a console. It was the beginning of video games at home. If you enjoy uncovering forgotten stories from the history of technology, make sure to like and subscribe, because sometimes the inventions that change the world are the ones history almost forgets.